So let's go ahead and open that up. By clicking on it, we now have our Troy hamburger takeoff. We're going to start filling this out. We're not going to do the whole thing. I'm going to fill out just some random stuff for the general information here. And then I will show you the features of the takeoff when you're using it online. So first off, what I like to do is I like to adjust the size of the document in the window. I like to take it to 75% so I can see it end to end, and then I'm not having to scroll sideways, which is really a pain in the butt. So now that I've done that, I'm going to add our date. So the date is 1/17. We have a pull down menu next to it where we can determine or let production know this is a cash retail job, it's for an insurance job, or it's for a property that's listed and going to be closing and we're getting paid out of escrow. These are the most three common, and you're going to find that with a lot of the pull downs that you see through this sheet. So we're going to say this is Troy Hamburger. His address is 123 Fleet Street. He lives in Morrison, whatever the zip code is for Morrison. I don't remember it off the top of my head. His cell phone number and his email, troy@gmail.com. Let's go over some of the other features that we see on this online takeoff. So this first section, you can see that all these sections are kind of color-coded for the different aspects of doing the roofing job. So we'll go through them here as we go. This first part is the roof replacement scope. It's for a main structure, and it's for anything over 312 pitch and greater. So we have tear off squares, what waste percentage we're doing, install squares, what the perimeter or the need for starter linear feet is. Now, a lot of these are kind of designed for an insurance job. If it's a cash job, you don't necessarily need to fill them all out. But if it's an insurance job, it is very important because a lot of these will dictate how the Xactimate is designed by the production people and submitted to the insurance company. So the type of shingle that gets torn off, there's a pull down menu. There's a lot of different options of what could be there, what the tear off shingle color is, installing what shingle type we're installing, what the shingle brand we're going to do, the new shingle line, and what the color will be. This is added because of what we experienced in 2023 and the supply chain issues. We would like to have some sort of a second choice if we run into that. There's spaces here to have a backup of what the homeowner is willing to put on if their first choice is not available or readily available as fast as they want to get it done. Here is where you list your pitches, the number of layers, a description of what the other layers entail, like if it's 3-tab or wood shake, the amount of linear feet on ridge cap, what kind of ridge cap is existing, what are we installing, what's existing for underlayment, how many underlayment squares are we installing, sands, ice, and water if it's required. Is it required? How many square feet? Is there any facets that require double underlayment, and how many squares of that? Existing valley, what's already protecting the valley? Linear feet of that. If we're doing a W valley, what color should it be? Is there drip edge existing? Linear feet. Is it painted? What color are we replacing it with? What size is it? And are we reusing it? Because sometimes on a cash job, we will be reusing drip edge because gutters are installed through the drip edge. So if it's an insurance job, obviously we need to know if the gutters are installed through the drip edge because that's something we may have to go back to the insurance company for. Are we detaching and resetting them? And how many linear feet is that? Same questions for the rake edge. Is there starter shingle on the rakes? Because that's something that we should get photos of and let the insurance company know as well. Second story squares, steep squares in the 3 different Categories of steepness, because that's important for Xactimates. Existing step flashing, what color is it? Counter flashing, if any exists. Are there cornices, number of cornices, cornice strips, how many linear feet? Any chimneys to reflash, how many? What are their sizes? Basically, the sizes are for Xactimate, so small, average, or large is all you have to fill in here. We have a pull down if a chimney cricket is needing to be installed. Is there hard access to address? Is this going to be a hand load for whatever reason? If there is a ground drop, where should the materials be placed? We keep running into that. And are there open soffits, which would require shorter nails? Next section is the substrate. What kind of existing decking, if you can figure that out, or at least make an assumption, or if you happen to be in the attic space, please note that. Is it up to code in your opinion? Are we removing and replacing any of the decking? Are we decking over it? And if we are, what are the squares that are involved? Next section is the flat roof facets on the main structure. Do any exist? Obviously, if it's a no, hit no and move right on. If it's a yes, how many squares? What are the pitches? What's the existing material? What are we installing? What's the drip edge size around it? How many linear feet? Any L flashing if it meets a wall? Are we replacing it? What's the linear feet on that? And this is an area where you can add any special notes as far as any penetrations. Are there parapets? Anything like that. Just give a description of other things. Next section is other existing roofing materials. So this is broken down into the elevations, and basically it gives you a space to describe basically if you find any corrugated roofs like acrylic or anything like that, like on the patio roof. This is if we're actually replacing it, how many squares or square feet it is. This is the area that you would fill that out. Now into the main structure roof penetrations, describing what existing ventilation there is, what are we installing when we go back to it. You can see on these pull down menus, it's we have same if there's no changes. Are we plugging gables? Say if we're removing box vents and putting in a ridge vent, are we going to plug the gables to have to do that? Here, this describes what the existing box vents, assuming they have them, are made of. That's also important for Xactimate. How many of them, if we're installing ridge vent or replacing ridge vent, how many linear feet? Number of power vents, any solar vents, what are their sizes, any turbines, number of soffit vents, if you know them. If we're installing a eave edge vent and which elevation, what linear feet they're going to be, and what their total would be. Pipes, are they painted? Also important for Xactimate. Any 4-inch pipes, are they painted? Are we removing a swamp cooler? Any split boots, are they painted? Any bathroom or brown vents from 4 to 6 inches? Any larger than that? Are we replacing or reusing them? Kitchen brown vents over 6 inches, are we reusing those? Number of satellite dishes, are we detaching and resetting them or disposing of them? Number of Versa caps for like a furnace cap, what are their sizes? Proprietary vents, these are older vents that may be connected to ducting, and for liability issues we should probably reuse it. Usually they're outdated HVAC vents or connected brown vents that are going to be a problem for us. Sometimes we'll do a detach and reset on them and just repaint them instead. And then anything else that's not covered with these fields, please describe here how many of them are and a brief description. Next is the solar panels. Are there any existing? How many panels are there? If you know the brand, that would be awesome, but not totally important. Maybe ask the homeowner if they're leased or owned. That would also be very helpful. Next up is the skylights. Any existing skylights? Are we replacing or reusing them? Are we at least reflashing them? This is where you can describe them. Are they curb mounted, deck mounted, double dome, flat fixed, anything like that? This is where we can describe the sizes, which is very important. Existing tubular skylights, again, how many of them are we detaching and resetting, or are we replacing them? This next section for additional structures that are on the property, it is by description for the most part. Are there any additional structures? Are we re-roofing them? Are we installing them with the same material as the main structure? So these kind of break it down to 4 different structures. Just give it a brief description. Is it a detached garage or detached shed? What are the pitches? How many squares? That's all going to get typed in or filled out if you're going to do a PDF. As you go down, it asks other specific things that we need to know, especially for Xactimates. What is the existing roof layers, material types, drip and rake edge exist, those types of things. And then, of course, the third row is for any penetrations that we should know about. And again, is there hard access? Is there going to be a hand load needed? This green section is for gutters and downspouts, especially if we're replacing them. What's the existing gutter type? Are they painted? What are we installing it with? What's going to be the color? Existing downspouts, same questions. What's going to be the color? Number of elbows that are going to be needed. Now this section here, where it also breaks it down to elevation, that has to do with if it's not a full replacement. So if it's not a full replacement, please note what elevations are going to get what linear feet, and then what the total linear feet of the job will end up being. If it's not a full replacement, please provide a map which gutter lines and downspouts are to be removed and replaced. You can do this with a screenshot from Google Earth and use the markup tool on that. I may do a separate video on how to do that. That's probably good to know. Are there any existing gutter covers? What kind of type are they? You can see here I just have screens and gutter helmet for now. Are we detaching and resetting or replacing? How many linear feet? Gutter covers install type. Again, either bulldog or gutter helmet for now. Gutter colors, install color. And this is also important. Is there any rotted fascia needing to be replaced to ensure that the gutters can be properly installed, or will it be a problem? Please list the elevations if we do find some, and a rough linear feet on that as well. Down here we have our notes. This is for any special instructions that is not noted from any of the sections above. This is your ability to say that. And then down here, for insurance only, if we're doing additional trades outside of what's in this form, meaning the roof and the gutters, if we're doing any other additional trades or that we are managing for the homeowner or the property owner, please list what trades we are also going to do here.